Dragon's Dogma 2 is finally on the horizon. What's up, guys? It's Guaka, and you guys have no idea how long I have been waiting for this game. This also made me realize that I have legit never talked about this game on YouTube, so I have to change that. I suspended all my other video projects I'm working on to make this freaking video. And you might be wondering why it took so long for another video to come out. Well, that's because... Yep, that's a lot of footage to get through. So, without further ado, it's time to fly into free. I present my journey through the endless cycle of Dragon's Dogma.
Choose, flee, or step forth. Take hold of what lies beyond. Claim mastery over the eternal ring.
The scene is set. A huge dragon descending from a mysterious portal from the skies with hundreds of harpies flying around it. You know, I'm sure it'll be fine. We'll get back to this later. First, let's just go where we are. We are in a little fishing village called Casadus. A nice place, you know. Well, let's make our character. I was honestly a bit stumped on who to make, so I took a DNA test and decided to make my ancestor. Everyone, meet Gwarther. So here we see Gwarther just minding his own business in the fishing village, and oh shit! That dragon that I said wouldn't be a problem is now a massive problem! It's attacking the residents! This is truly a Resident Evil. Gwarther is kind of a goat though. He picks up his sword and attempts to strike down the dragon, only for the dragon to eat his heart like a gummy.
Take up arms, newly arisen.
So upon waking up from the dragon, we get to pick our first vocation. Now I'm gonna go fighter for this run because I love the classic sword shield combo, and we also get our first companion by the name of Rook. This guy is a pawn. Basically, pawns are these emotionless dudes that come from a rift specifically to serve the Arisen. And we're gonna meet more of them later. Carrying on, we leave Casadus and head out into the world. Now after finding a couple of goblins, we get to our first encampment, where we have to talk to the rock. I mean a stone! A roof stone to be precise. In order to use this rock, we have to prove ourselves. And what timing! There's a Cyclops that lets us prove ourselves. absolutely love how we've already got such a cool impression of the combat. You know, we can grab and climb onto enemies, there's different combos and things we can do, and we can see the potential of how the game's going to grow later on when we fight even bigger enemies. It is just so cool, and I can't wait to show you guys more stuff coming up. Now, after killing this one-eyed monster, we get to create our own traveling companion, and I know just the person. Yes, I made Gandalf, but I decided to give him an epic flair. Now, with our companion in our party and some tutorial training, we can do... Wait, is that a Hydra? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
Get up or the Hydra's back!
Thanks, Phil! Yeah, so in this past like 1 hour, we've got just a taste of the type of enemies and combat I'm going to encounter through Dragon's Dogma. Lots of super cool, epic, mythical creatures. Now, after this epic fight, it's time for the worst mission in the game. Escort time. When will they take out escort missions in games? I'm begging you, bro.
I'm on my way from misery to happiness to thee. I'm on my way from misery to happiness to thee. And everything that you receive up yonder is what you give to me today. I wonder. I'm on my way. I'm on my way.
We've arrived. Well done, men. A Hydra's head is a fine prize. His Grace will be pleased with the cause work. Walk proud through these streets, men. We are heroes to the people of Gran Soren.
Now we've finally arrived at Gran Soren. Yes, this is the main city where we will spend a lot of our time shopping, enhancing, leveling up our vocations. We get to talk to this guy who tells us that Masterworks, oh, you can't go wrong. And you're going to hear that like 30 times in the gameplay, so you better respect him, bro. And yes, talking about vocations quickly, in this game, we aren't just limited to the single class, like the fighter archers at the beginning of the game. We can switch, and also some of the advanced classes are mixed together, like Magic Archer, and Magic Knight, and Assassin. I'll show you a few of them as we play, but you gotta play it for yourself to see every class, bro. Now, after chilling in Gran Soren for a bit, we gotta head to the Pawn Guild, because Barnaby here has some issues underneath the city. This is here. This is the Everfall. All we know is that it's a place special to the pawns. Now, I don't know why, but once we reach the bottom, we get attacked by a bunch of tentacles and have to hightail it all the way back up to the top like a madman. Seems like a waste of time, but hey, he was happy we discovered the disturbance in there. Once we make it back up, conveniently, the Duke has received our Hydra head that we delivered in that escort mission, and now we can do his bidding. Hooray, how generous of him. So now we get into the meat of the main story, which is the worm hunt. Now this is probably where a lot of people spend a good chunk of the game, and there's a lot of side quests and a lot of great stuff to do, but I decided I'm going to focus on the 4 main missions you can do. Now technically you only need to do 2 of them to advance the story, but I enjoy them, plus they give some good items and XP, so we're going to go ahead and do all of them. Now our first job is to decipher a slate. Now because this is a accurate medieval fantasy, there's a big issue in deciphering this slate. I can't read. So, we have to find someone in this world who can read. And luckily, after talking and asking around town, we find a certain gentleman who runs the Black Cat, a store which you'll frequent a lot in your gameplay. He tells us that the slate literally means nothing, but it does reference something up north. And traveling there takes us straight to a particular and peculiar character.
Him who knows that I know what he seeks to know, knows it well, while he who knows not what I know, or know not. You'll see me, yes? Then congratulations are due. You have found the man you seek. I am, or was, perhaps like you, a child of man, bound to the dragon.
Enter the Dragon Forged and the Fool. These two, mainly the Dragon Forged, are here to simply guide you and answer some questions regarding your quest. The Dragon Forged was once an Arisen himself, and basically just acts as a sort of guide to future Arisen coming to fight the dragon. So, we ask him some thought-provoking questions, rob him of his possessions, and head back to have our quest complete. On to the next one, where we have to investigate a cult. Now, there's a group in this game who call themselves Salvation. These dudes not only worship the dragon, but think of his coming as like a beautiful cleansing of the world and believes that chaos will save everyone. So, of course, we have to exterminate them before they try to exterminate us. Now, let's ask around town, and the goat himself gives us some great info on their hideout. I freaking love this dude. Now, let's go explore it and find out what they're cooking. This is legit a classic fantasy, like D&D type dungeon. You've got a cult threat brewing, you've got undead walking around, of course treasure chests. I also love that this game gives you a lantern that requires oil. It's like the developers played Twilight Princess and was like, damn, I need that shit in this game right now. It's just the little details like this that really add to the whole medieval, like gritty fantasy part of the game, and I really, really like it. Anyways, we end up finding these Salvation dudes, and the leader has lured a bunch of new recruits. Now, first of all, why the hell would you trust this man? Just look at him. And also, why would you go into an undead, infested catacombs for a meeting? That's just stupid. And the expected happens, of course. This dude summons a bunch of skelly fellas and kills the entire cult there for whatever reason. He's just dumb. And we have to clean up the mess while he escapes. But one of the actual zealots managed to get away. This cult member who's just terrified on the ground. But our friend here manages to capture him and lets us decide what to do with him. I mean, you know, do I really want to kill him? It seems super unfair that he would die despite being lured, and oh shit, my hand slipped. Well, at least he said we did the right thing. I feel like I didn't know. Well, that's 2 objectives down. What's next? What's next is we get to lead an expedition into another creepy, dark, dank cave. Let's go! So we are going with the church, and we have to explore this place behind a waterfall because there's some ancient slates that we need to put together and decipher, but we can't read, but luckily, these guys can read. Now we fight some water-based creatures, some cyclops, explore the altar slates, and I didn't even get to learn what this freaking knowledge was, but apparently the Duke did. Like, bro, I'm the one fighting the dragon. Give me the info. Well, at least it's done. And I saved the best quest for last. Routing the monster infestation. We get to go to a huge, huge castle, and we have to fight off all the monsters to help in case of an incoming invasion with the dragon. We get to sneak underneath the base, kill all the goblins, fight the cyclopses. There are these annoying as hell firebolts, which won't stop hitting me while I try to kill these guys. But you know what? I did it. I let the troops in, and we storm the gates.
You must rout the beasts for good. After me, man.
And that's the infestation routed, and all 4 jobs complete. Let's go. Now, we can finally hear the Duke's directive and meet the Duke.
Tonight the fisher knight leaves the humble shores of home for the heady depths of Cart. Pray, let this token from humble Festi garner favour with the leviathans within. Oh, tut, no time for thanks, friend. The Duke awaits. Sail on, dear knight, sail on.
I fear your crown outshines my own. By my command, every road in Grancis shall be open to you henceforth as a member of the world. Hunt. May your efforts help deliver us from the shadow of the dragon. As long as that damnable beast draws breath, I'll fain accept any help on offer.
Yes, so now you're in the castle. What a big, epic promotion. We get to talk to the Duke's right-hand man, and he's got a couple of quests for us to do. We gotta assist Sir Mercedes, the lady we helped bring the Hydra head to, and we gotta do a trial, and we gotta fight a griffin as well. So let's start with the Mercedes mission, the one that seems kind of epic. We get there, and all of a sudden, everyone is fighting each other, and it's revealed that this guy, who we didn't really see much in the game, was a spy. So yeah, honestly, a lot of things in this game are pretty damn undercooked because 60% of the content was actually cut due to budget and time issues, I believe. So I'm just going to give you a quick explanation from doing the other side quests and things like that. Julian here is a warrior from a neighboring country. He's sent here to help Grancis with fighting the dragon. But his real goal is to stop the country becoming any more prominent by siding with Salvation, that cult, to help the dragon destroy the country. Now Mercedes here, who is also from a neighboring country, is mad because she loves this world and wants to support everyone. So when the secret is out that Julian is a spy, a duel breaks out, and Guartha, being the good man he is, lets her fight her battle.
The swift death of Grancis is the greatest mercy to her neighbors.
And what of those of this land who will die for your peace? Will you stand idly by while a people lose their land, their very lives, to a plague of beasts?
Who shall stand against it then, if we are spent, all of us, for having held to some ancient pact? What is gained by all our deaths? Naught, I say, and naught would say your Lord Father.
How dare you, sir? I will not suffer such slander!
You know it to be true. The duel is well and settled, Arisen. Be gone from my sight at once.
Hey, don't be sad. At least you're alive. And since you're alive, can I complete the quest now?
I must make a peace.
Okay, next up is probably one of my top 3 missions in the game. The freaking griffin fight. There has been a massive griffin terrorizing people in the nearby area, and it's our job to go and eliminate it. So, we go with a squadron of men from Grand Soren, lure it down with a goblin as bait, and
It comes!
Do not allow it, fly!
the bastard admits defeat and flies all the way to his stupid tower where we have to walk all the way to. Now this is seriously a treacherous but kind of epic hike. We've got bandits along the way, all sorts of manner of creatures, super strong winds that slow you down if you aren't heavy enough. And once we get to the tower as well, we get a super cool, amazing set piece of a boss battle.
What are you doing? Fight! We lost a number of men. Please, sir.
Take this fight to your end.
The gate is near falling. Help me! Through here and up the tunnel stairs, quickly!
Onward now.
must see how the creature takes to my arcane magic.
This fight is just so amazing, and I love how every mythical creature in this game basically gets its own special setup as a boss. It is so sick. Next up is a trial. That's right, the life of a man is in our hands. Mr. Fornival, a certain noble rich man, has been accused of many crimes, and it's for us to find out the truth, or bend it, I guess. We have a few days to gather evidence, and we have to go around Grand Sorin and all of Grancis to find some people to argue for or against him. Now, in his own house, after 5 minutes of searching, I found some incriminating evidence. But on the other hand, he is a super useful merchant that gives me great charms for leveling up. So what I'm actually going to do is, I'm going to buy some forged papers to help get his acquittal. Sorry guys, I guess there really is no justice for all. The day of the trial comes, and...
Order! I will have order! This inquest has its conclusion. Fornival Frescobaldi, in the name of His Grace, Duke Edmund Dragonsbane, the court hereby proclaims its verdict. Not guilty. You are cleared of all charges and released from bondage forthwith.
The man is free, and everyone is upset except me because now I get a discount from him. Thank you so much, Mr. Fornival. Now, before we go on to the final directive, we need to visit someone. The Duke's beloved, in fact. She's actually asked us to visit her in her chambers at nighttime. Pray, surely, does she want thine cock and balls? Anyway, despite my lack of judgment, I'm gonna go in, and we uncover some dark secrets about the Duke.
My lord, what are
Lenore! Lenore! Oh, my love! Forgive me!
My lord Edmund, is something...
Lenore! Forgive me! I was wrong! I take it back, Lenore! I'm sorry! I'm sorry!
And we get thrown in prison for this, understandably. But hey, lucky for me, I got an epic skeleton key and a couple other tricks up my sleeve to get out of here. So now we've escaped, we go back to the scene of the crime to grab our last objective, which is that the Worm King's ring has been stolen. Apparently it's a super powerful ring and the Duke needs it for whatever reason. And there's already a suspect, Salamet, who was a mage-type advisor to the king back in the day. If you remember during the Griffin fight, when that guy showed up, he was using a tome made by this mage. Anyway, after asking around, yeah, the mage is guilty, so we track him down to this quarry and we find him and his goons there. Of course he escapes in a super dramatic, magical way. And guess where he lives? The freaking tower where we just fought the Griffin. So now we have to walk all the way back if you haven't put a port crystal down. So, because I didn't, I had to do a bit of a trek. But once we get into the tower, which is now populated with even more thieves, we eventually reach the top of the tower and confront Salamet.
Arisen is a profession given to leisure. Or do you hope to earn your meals catching stray wizards for fear of actually facing the dragon? Alas, I'm not one for company. Let us be done with this. You've come to your journey's end! Talisman!
There we go. The ring is in our possession. But I actually have an idea that I've never thought of doing until actually this single playthrough. So do you remember a while back when we went to get that ancient slate deciphered and that guy, the Black Cat, could decipher it because he said he makes fake ones himself? Well, I figured, what if he makes a forgery of the Worm King's ring? And he can. Now, all we have to do is get away with it.
We must... The ring is reclaimed. I haven't the words to express my esteem, sir. A talisman of such power must be kept from those who would use it for ill purpose.
And with that, we've completed all of the Duke's requests, and we can finally go on our expedition. Well, I did kind of miss out on the point where we had to fight a cockatrice that freaking turns you to stone, and it somehow got into the city. I'm blaming Salvation, those traitorous bastards, and all those people for doing that kind of stuff. After killing the cockatrice, we head out on an expedition to finally end Salvation once and for all. And the Duke, being the kind, maybe, man he is, I guess, is going to bestow us some gifts from the treasury. How kind. Wait. Oh, shit. He has a forged ring, so the chest won't open. That is so cool, like, genuinely. I love that the developers put this in just in case someone decided wants to be cheeky and forge the ring. Anyway, let's go take down Salvation. And to do that, we've got to head to reach their stronghold, and we fight through it like a pretty standard things we've done so far. But once we get to the top, we've got to fight these two whites, and Mr. Stinky Salazar type dude, Elysion, is preaching about how epic the dragon is, and how awesome the world being destroyed is, and all this stuff until...
This is absolute truth! This is salvation!
The rantings of an up-jump zealot make for tedious listening. His ilk serves no role in what is to come. Only my death will staunch the flood of destruction, a task still far beyond your means. If you would face me, seek me out, and I shall allow it. But heed the zealot's lesson well. When the weak court death, they find it. Until then, I shall hold your little keepsake safe. Your dragon forged will speak for my diligence in that. The choice falls not to me, nor to the whims of fate. It is yours alone.
And with that, the dragon has officially challenged us. So, let's tighten our belt straps and head to the Tainted Mountain for the final confrontation. Now, does this place look familiar by chance? That's right, if you have a keen eye, you may recognize this as the same place the tutorial was at. But this time, We actually get to go through the gates.
What is your purpose here, Arisen? If you sought to live, you had naught but run and hide yourself away. But then, tell me, child of man, what does it mean to live in truth? I ask again, what is your purpose here, Arisen? One path to your survival lies in my defeat. Still my heart, and you stay the coming end. Another path before you is to offer up that which you hold most dear. For the price of a single life, I shall leave this land in peace. As my vanquisher, the duchy would bow to you. Wealth and power are sweet anodyne for heartache. You'll not gainsay my terms are more than generous. If it matters aught, the man who rules this land now won that honor through just such a bargain. The decision is yours, Arisen. Now, choose. meaning my fold. It makes men deaf to all reason. Heed me well, Arisen. In my death, you've won a future for this world. But what that future spells for you, for all men, is a truth you'll find staring back from this world's utmost depth. Arisen, you have earned back what is yours. Your life belongs now to no other. You've won it by rights. It is yours to use or cast away as you see fit. Remember that.
Damn. Dragon's freaking Dogma. Now, I know what you're thinking. Guoka, that was it? That was super short. You just did like 6 missions. The story didn't really feel that epic or intense or emotional or anything. It was just a basic fantasy plot. Hero fights the dragon and gets his heart back. Now, I want you to hold your horses for a second. I gotta remind you that there's a lot of extra content and lore in this game that you have to find, and I don't want to show everything because I want you to be intrigued and try and find those answers for yourselves. There are heaps of stuff to do, especially post-game. And I'm about to go through post-game, and you're gonna want to see this because... So, yeah, remember that thingy called the Everfall that we ran down earlier in the game and the tentacles came out? Now you know why it's called that, because if you fall in this giant hole, you'll just keep falling. It's a bottomless pit. Now, after all the cutscene stuff has happened, you wake up in Casadus with your beloved, and all that stuff happens, you head back to Grand Soren. You're requested to visit the king before you go into the Everfall. And of course, the king is full of rage. But now, think about it for a second. The deal the dragon offered you, your beloved, for eternal life and the safety of the current world. You realize now that the Duke didn't kill the dragon, he in fact killed his beloved and took that deal. That's why he lived. And now, he is telling everyone that you took that deal, that you didn't kill the dragon. This man was a bastard from day one. Like, think about all the missions we had to do. Going to fight a huge goblin horde with no support, deciphering an impossible tablet. You also had to fight a cockatrice at one point that would turn me into stone. We had to investigate a cult and fight all these horrific, dangerous creatures like a griffin and all that. The Duke sanctioned all these missions, not to prove your worth to him, but to stop you in your tracks. He was worried you were going to take his place as the Duke and reveal his secret, and he tried to do everything possible to stop you while still looking good. That guy is a fucking rat bastard. Oh shit, I probably should not have done that. Lucky for me, there's a conveniently placed bottomless pit I can escape into. So, while we hide from our crimes, we may as well see what's going on in the Everfall here. And this place is actually full of pawns. I mean, it is a nice place and it means something to the pawns in the first place. And one of them asks you to gather wake stones, which are items that can revive you in the game. You need to grab 20 of them to throw into the Everfall, which lets you confront the true nature of this world. Pretty ominous. Now there's a lot to explore here and a lot of endgame stuff you can do here, and I don't want to show too much, but you basically fall down, go into these different chambers which will test your character's will, and you will get more wake stones upon killing stronger enemies and things like that. There's a huge variety of strong bosses and enemies down here we can find in order to get more money as well, and better gear, and of course wake stones. This area in the game, honestly, you can spend hours and hours just exploring each mysterious section of the Everfall. Each chamber is super interesting. You've got like the Chamber of Anxiety, which is full of skellies, and at the bottom there's a whole ass beholder you can freaking fight. There's also dragons and stuff in here, and there's a massive dragon that you have to fight, and everyone in the world has to fight to help slowly take down its health bar. Like, super duper cool stuff. You also get to fully fight the Hydra down here, and yep, it keeps regrowing heads and health constantly. So you have to chop off one head after another, and it gets pretty intense and grueling. And after defeating this bastard, we do finally get the last few wake stones we needed, so it's time to hand them in. This here is the Seneschal, who is the ruler of the world. Now, please enjoy this cut down version of the Seneschal fight.
Well met, Arisen. I'll not waste time on rhetoric. Defeat me, and take my place as keeper of this world. You saw it awaiting you at the end of your descent. Aye, the same world you've traveled to arrive at this place. You need only the will to claim what is offered you. The will to survive.
Yes, fight, Arisen, as you e'er have fought in coming here. What is it that impels you? What force spurs you on? What is it that makes you alive? 'Tis volition, unbending will.
Consider the infinite potential. Just as you call forth pawns, so I command all life into existence. Just as the pawns need a master's command, so the world thirsts for the will to live.
Let us continue. Show that you are more than an empty vessel, animated by forces unseen. Show that the temper of your soul is strong enough to command far more than mere pawns. Show that your will is fit to bind the fraying circle of this world and hold it fast. Fight tooth and claw. Struggle now and cling to life. Show that living holds worth enough to fight for.
It is time to decide. Will you claim your right as Arisen? Or shrug the burden and seek peace in oblivion? Turn back now, and I will grant you a merciful death. The choice is yours, Arisen.
Why not put an end to it? Praises of the quiet life are sung far too infrequent.
Why this hesitation, sir? You've ought to protect, do you not?
I was always so afraid. You seemed ever like to leave for somewhere I could not follow.
You are close now. So very close to me.
Come, Arisen. I shall meet you on your own terms, joined by my own companions of old. You stand now at its end, Arisen. See your journey through. Fight. It repeats upon itself, all the world. So the cycle continues. It repeats upon itself that all the world is at peace. And so the cycle continues. Arisen, forgive me. All I've done was to test your will. It is the fate of all Arisen. You and I are swept up in the current, same as the rest.
Do you recognize the Seneschal now? He's Savan, the Arisen we played as in the prologue, in the tutorial. He is now, the Seneschal, who is there to guide the true Arisen, to be there to take his place as Seneschal and rule over the world until the true Arisen comes, whether that's you or not. He is merely here to test your will. If you die at this fight, you simply fall back down to the planet and are transformed into the dragon. And now everything makes sense. The dragon that chooses an Arisen isn't trying to destroy the world. He's trying to stop this cycle. He picks the Arisen, gives him all the choices in order to find out if he's the true Arisen or not. It's his destiny to die, to help break the cycle. Same as the Seneschal. And if you beat the Seneschal, he's got some answers for you. Some pretty massive ones, like the answer to will and what is eternity, and they're pretty interesting, to be honest.
My all. Aye, there is life in the world, and with it death. Naught lasts forever. Each rises and falls in its time. But such is a death akin to that of ponds. They appear in this world and vanish, only to appear again, like bubbles in a mountain spring. As so it is with all that lives within this eternal world. In time, you will come to see it happen under your watch, Seneschal. Each beast, each blade of grass, each human life is born to die and be born again in endless rhythm. Naught lasts forever. Yet all persists unto eternity. As my will is that which led you to this place, and that which turns the eternal wheel of the world. Along the endless string of life and death, there are some born with a hunger. They yearn for some other, better place. They are the Arisen, nascent fountainheads of will. And so the dragon is sent into the world to guide the Arisen, and refine them, to temper their wills into aught capable of sustaining the world. And so, the cycle of our world has e'er continued.
After learning all of these facts, and learning that the whole world is just a constant cycle, and no matter what we do, it'll constantly be the same, but we can choose to be the Seneschal and one day be free of this cycle, we have to do the same thing for Savan, who has guided us to this opportunity to break the cycle. So, we wield the Godsbane Blade, and relieve him of his duty, and take his place as ruler of the world.
Mourn me not, for I welcome the release. At long last, I am free of eternity, of infinity, free of the cruel, unending ring.
Now, as the Seneschal, we can explore our domain, forbidden to be seen, but always watching. I mean, we can prank some cheeky fellows at Grand Soren since they can't see me. But that's it. We just have to wait. Or do we? The Godsbane can technically kill us. It's the only thing that can free us from this cycle. We still have it. And we can wield it. We can point it towards our chest. We can end it. As Savan said, end the cruel, unending ring and let the future itself decide. I decide to take one last look at the Kadatas beach, the place where it all began. I head back to the chamber, draw the Godsbane, and...
Stay with me!
Master!
Thank you. I'd given up hope of seeing you again, in any form. It's clear that forces beyond my ken are at work here. But I'll ask no questions. Not today.
The cycle is broken. Your pawn, who was once an emotionless creature that lived in the rift, is now a soul inside your body. He has a will now, and will go on with life. Your job, as the Arisen, as a seneschal, is done. Your universe is freed from the endless cycle. What a freaking game, man. You resolve everything, you free the world from the cycle, and it's all done. Or is it? You know how I said the game really begins after the tutorial? Yeah, we still haven't really kicked into the full craziness of the story. Now it's time for New Game Plus and the Dark Arisen DLC. So, there's quite a few great things about New Game Plus in Dragon's Dogma. For starters, you carry over all your equipment, levels, money, vocation, all that good stuff over to the new game. So I decided in this playthrough, it was time for me to play as me. So everyone, meet Dragon's Dogma Guaca. Also something very handy, our pawn also keeps their levels, and this time, I made Miss Faye. I'm gonna make her my designated mage like last time, and I'm gonna try to heap a new classes. But the main reason I'm restarting is, because as Guaca, I wanted to play through the Dark Arisen content, because you see, this new version of the game isn't just for modern consoles. It has a huge new area called Bitter Black Isle, and we can only access this area at night at Casadus, when a lady named Orla takes us to this mysterious island.
I ask you, is that the fate you've chosen of your own will? You are Arisen. We stand now on Bitterblack Isle, far as sea from the cove we departed. I would ask you to explore its depths.
Now, this place, well, I don't know much about it, but basically, it's just a random mysterious isle that only the Arisen can see, and it's been created by the will of, you guessed it, the Dark Arisen. Our goal is to explore this place and reach the deepest, darkest depths, and battle the beast within. The reason I waited to do this for New Game Plus is, well, this area is really hard. You need to be at least level 60-70 to even stand a chance, and have good gear on top of that. I ended up switching to Warrior during my descent into Bitterblack Isle, and man, I love hitting massive enemies like a baseball bat, bro. Speaking of enemies as well, there's a few new ones here. We have this super creepy giant chained up Cyclops, a massive Minotaur with hammers that will absolutely wreck your health. There's also Death. Like, literally just Death. If you're in the isle for too long, he will hunt you down and chase you. Oh, and his scythe, by the way, kills you in one hit and sends your pawns back to the rift, so you better leg it when you see him. This area is just so damn cool, and actually reminded me of a lot of what people love about the Soulsborne series. It's a dark and gritty area, it feels devoid of soul and reasoning, the scattered lore that helps you find all the pieces that help you understand this tragic and melancholy story, this harrowing tale. But what makes the harrowing tale so scary in the Dark Arisen is that it's very easy to imagine yourself in the shoes of the creator of this island. While you venture through this place, you'll hear whispers of what seems to be another Arisen and his pawn, calling out, complaining about the pain of the endless cycle and the tragedy of being an Arisen and how it's not fair.
Arisen, bearer of the dragon's mark, undying corpse, enjoined to make your will manifest. If my voice reaches you, heed me. The Arisen, the Seneschal, the whole cursed world, all is but an illusion. A meaningless refrain, a hollow echo. What sense is there in giving one's life to these falsehoods?
You do meet a fellow Arisen as well, this cheeky fellow here who will help you upgrade your gear. But it's nice to see a somewhat friendly face, even if he does charge the roof for damn curatives. You can also find all sorts of tablets on the ground. These appear at the start of the isle, and they'll tell you a bit of story about what happened between Ash, Ulra, and Gret. Ulra you may recognize as the one you brought to this island, and Gret and Ash we'll get to later. It also tells a lot of another Arisen's journey through this island, an Arisen named Arthakos, who made a bargain with the dragon, it seems, to sacrifice 1,000 souls for freedom. And I think he's the one that went mad and actually turned to death in Bitterblack Isle, and he's hunting for those souls. A lot of the creatures in this place seems to actually be Arisens. You know, you realize in grabbing all these slates that this isle is somehow connected to all universes, all the cycles. Lots of Arisen have come and died here. It's almost like the island itself is trying to destroy the endless cycle in its own way. The Arisen trapped on the isle become distorted and cursed. One of my favorite examples of this is this armored knight guy we find, who guards the entrance to one of the depths of the isle, and the priest and the dragon, which could have been a pawn and an Arisen long ago, now connected through these twisted forms of magic they're conjuring. There's so much to unpack on this island, on top of it being really tough to explore. Now, there are a few rest points at least in this place that let you leave the isle and trade in these Bitterblack goods for potential armor and weapons, like a gacha type system. And at least you can catch your breath and grab some new pawns, which you'll want, because number one, they'll die a lot, and number two, you'll be leveling up super fast, so you want any extra bit of power you can possibly get. Now, at this point, I learned quite a few things about this place, mainly about Orla and these people called Greta and Ash. From my understanding, Gret was originally an Arisen, and Orla was her pawn. They found Ash, who was a young boy who came with them on their journey. Now, Greta, being the good Arisen that she was, fought against the dragon and won. Then she went with Orla to fight the Seneschal, but she lost. So Greta becomes the next dragon, forced to do the Seneschal's bidding and find a new Arisen. She picks Ash to be the next Arisen. Ash, being the Arisen, then picks Orla to be their pawn, who takes on the appearance of Gret. These two now have to fight Gret, the dragon. Upon receiving the bargain to destroy the beloved, something clicks in his brain. But Ash decides, fuck it. Fuck this shit. fuck the cycle, fuck the bargain, I don't want to do any of this. Through sheer will, Ash creates Bitter Black Isle. Orla, unbeknownst to them, lures Arisen here, and they die at the Isle. And of course, you being the player, it all comes down to you. We need to defeat Ash, now named Damon, and stop his own endless cycle. We need to free him of Bitter Black Isle, so we scramble through the fallen city and reach the heart of this place.
You've met him. He was my master, though it was 100 lifetimes past. When he came to face the dragon, he was given a choice too hard, too cruel to make. He could live with neither answer, and so he offered only a curse in reply. Those words saw him become the monster he is now. In granting him the cursed form he chose, the worm had held to its bargain. And I was the price. I was his pawn, and his beloved besides. I beg you to help him. His soul has been a slave too long. Pray, bring his suffering to a merciful end.
I'll scale it. Strike while it's distracted.
Still-hearted kinsman, you have my thanks. To destroy is simpler than to create, and harder still is to see aught to fruition, to end it rightly. The infinite chain is yours, Arisen, to grant measure, to give what shape you will. And I, at last, can step beyond its span. My brethren, dearest Aura.
Holy moly, this is one crazy ass boss fight. The entire island fights you, pushes you at every turn with every dirty trick and annoying tactic. But once you reach this boss, all I can feel is sympathy. You know, I was in his shoes and I had to make the decision between my beloved and the world and my own life. I easily could have been mad at the cycle, at everything. It's so easy to imagine yourself in Ash's shoes and have so much anger at something you feel absolutely powerless to stop. But I'm happy, at least I ended it for him. And Bitter Black Isle can rest. Until my friend told me there's more. Yep, so time to strap on my boots and do it all over again. And holy moly, Damon doesn't just have another form. The whole place does. Stronger enemies at every turn. Enemies who were once bosses are now common enemies. Everything is buffed up and terrifying. So I changed my class to Assassin, which helped a lot, especially with its invisibility skill. Also, I did try and kill the Duke with it, but they still saw me somehow.
return to chains. You bat.
Grown tired of playing it heel.
I also ended up fighting my dragon again just to get some more Dragon Forged gear. I killed that bastard dragon. Also, Mercedes was my beloved. Finally, she a baddie. And with my new gear ready to go, I decided to properly descend into Bitterblack Isle for the last time.
Slave to a broken order. Dare you look upon the truth?
I fancied myself a strong man. Strong enough to protect someone. Strong enough to love someone. I longed to prove it, to myself as much as any other. Longed to show that I could give aught back, and not simply take. And yet, in that moment, I chose to cast it all away. Though I cursed the world, what was writ true in my soul was an apology to you and our master who fostered a soul within you.
You have not left to prove, my sweet, for I have known your love, and know it still. I have e'er wished nothing more than to share in your world, be it within the endless chain or beyond. Let us find our place together.
You know, this second run was absolutely soul-crushing. The ridiculous enemies, the constant loss of supplies and pawns, it was so painful. But at the very end, when it was just me and Damon, and we were fighting Arisen to Arisen, will to will, to prove that even if it is hard, the right thing to do must always be done, because regrets and anger and hatred only hurt yourself and those around you. And I wanted to prove that the will to live and to have a brighter future will always prosper. And I don't care if that's corny as hell, but that's how I felt and how I want to freaking live. So I did it. I killed his second form. And even if the malice is left, at least its creator is now properly at rest. Man, what a DLC. Better than some games, I'm seriously telling you. Now, with Bitter Black Isle saved, everyone at rest, there's only one thing to do. That is, descend into my own world's Everfall, fight the Seneschal one last time. But a surprise is coming that I seriously did not expect.
You are close now. So very close to me.
Come, Arisen. I shall meet you on your own terms, joined by my own companions of life. You stand now at its end, Arisen. See your journey through.
Guatha! Guatha is the fucking Seneschal! Are you shitting me? But didn't he die? Didn't he end this endless cycle? Or did he? Everything is clicking now. Guatha, stabbing himself with the Godsbane, was not breaking the cycle. It was part of it. All he did was give his pawn a new shot at life by removing his own soul from his body. Why else do you think the Seneschal pulls the Godsbane out of himself and asks you to use it on him? Only the true Arisen can break the cycle, can free someone from the cruel unending ring. You had to kill the dragon to free that Arisen, same with the Seneschal, same with Damon. But how could you take your own life? It's not possible. Being the Arisen is a blessing and a curse. You can be freed from the endless cycle, after endless cycles, waiting for the Arisen to appear and break the chain, not only of your cycle, but your own cycles. And that's what I'm hoping Dragon's Dogma 2 will be about, fully breaking the cycle not only for your universe, but all of them. With Guatha now truly freed, Guaca rules as the Seneschal. But who's gonna free him? I know. You. That's right. You watching are my true Arisen. It's your turn to take up your sword, one chosen by the dragon. Follow your quest to free the world of its endless cycle. I'll guide you. And I hope this video has served as me being your Seneschal and guiding you through the world of Dragon's Dogma so that you can reach the potential that you truly have within you. And hey, if you play on the Nintendo Switch with online mode connected, there's a genuine chance that Guaca will appear as your Seneschal. If you're the one to free me from the cycle, I thank you. Now, I have naught else to talk about, except to just play Dragon's Dogma. Please, it's so awesome, and I hope this dive into this awesome game has convinced you to give it a shot. I'm off now to guard the world, and if you ever need guidance, come back to this video and watch it again. Oh, And before I go, let me remind you to keep shredding. See ya!